in the morning. But welcome everyone. Thanks for joining in on this topic. I'm Kristen Rose. I'm with the Minnesota GreenStep Cities program at the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, and we're excited to be kind of hosting a topic with our friends over at Minnesota Wastewise this afternoon. And so with me today and also helping to plan stuff, Melissa, I'll let you introduce yourself and then we'll say hello to our presenters.
Hi folks, my name is Melissa Wenzel. My official title, day job, is Sustainability Built Environment Administrator. I'm also a GreenStep Cities advisor in some of the waste-related efforts. And I've been connected to WasteWise for about 20 years at this point. And so I've always been a big fan. Glad to be a part of this today. Thank you.
I just put in the chat, hopefully those of you who are joining us today can access the chat. I know sometimes technology does not allow for that, but we will also be following up with the slides and contacts, any links that are shared, and the meeting recording with you all after we get through today. And so we'll be sure to share things with you. If you're not familiar with GreenStep, I put our website in the chat bar for you, and I'll be sharing a couple other best practice actions that relate to the GreenStep program as we go through as well. But yeah, with that said, I think we'll hop on into our featured presenters joining us this afternoon. So we have Hannah and Jasmine with the Minnesota Wastewise program and the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce. I won't even try to explain all of the things that you do. That's what you're here for. So I will let both of you just jump right in. And I know you might be going back and forth through some slides as you're going through. We were chatting beforehand too, and if you have questions or comments as we're going through this afternoon, feel free to use the chat feature or the raise hand button if you do have a question or comment you'd like to share, and we will be sure to mention and or call on you. We might wait until after we get through some slides here to do that, but definitely put your thoughts down. So I will hand it over to you, Hannah. Jasmine.
Great, thanks so much.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jasmine Jones. I am a senior sustainability specialist with Minnesota Wastewise, and we are super excited to have you all join us today to chat more about our programming that we are offering in Greater Minnesota. Wonderful. So this is just a quick overview for the next hour. So I will introduce you all to Minnesota Wastewise and then cover our food recovery grant program. Then I'll pass it off to Hannah and she will introduce you all to Minimize. And finally, we will wrap up with some of our other programming that we offer throughout the state of Minnesota. Awesome. Again, if you guys have questions, please use the chat. So Minnesota Wastewise, we are a nonprofit affiliate of the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce. So we offer support to businesses, multi-unit family properties, as well as public institutions with their waste reduction and recycling projects. Our support includes site visit consultations, waste bill analysis, grants and funding assistance, as well as employee training and waste sorts. So in January of 2023, Minnesota Wastewise received funding from the MPCA, which we then used to create our own grant program, specifically for supporting food shelves and reuse organizations throughout Minnesota. Our overall goal with this grant program is to reduce the amount of wasted food in Minnesota by redistributing it to communities that are in need. So this program is not for like a food to hogs program or food for land use. This is specifically food that then can be repurposed for those in need. So our goal for 2023 through 2024 is to assist at least 15 different organizations with grant funding. This is a one-time 12-month grant term offering technical assistance to organizations to help them improve their new or existing infrastructure to receive or recover more food. Organizations are eligible for funding up to $10,000 to be used. This is specific to organizations that are operating in an area considered of concern for environmental justice. So here you'll see a snapshot of the state of Minnesota. This map is available on the MPCA website. I will add it to the chat as well, but there's a search function that can be used for an address to see if it is eligible for grant funding. So the criteria is 40% of people report income less than 185% of the federal poverty line, 50% or more people of color, or a federally recognized Indian tribe. So an organization just has to meet one of these qualifications to receive grant funding. So here's a list of eligible expenses that can be included in the grant request. This is not a end-all be-all list for food shelves, but just some examples for funding could be to purchase materials for food recovery activities, storage costs, transportation costs, refrigeration, shelving, staff cost, funding for staff training if you would like to have WasteWise lead this training, or if this is something that you would like for your volunteers to attend and perhaps provide them with a lunch or pay them for their time essentially for joining, as well as waste management material or waste management software or inventory management software. So this could be something similar to a Lean Path software subscription, or if there is a need for temperature monitoring for refrigeration or freezers that can be monitored remotely through an app. That's an example of another type of software that can be used. Again, this list is not the only items that are eligible for funding. At our site visit, we can discuss kind of more options or more funding opportunities that better fit your organization as well. And lastly, so we are currently accepting applications. The official deadline for this grant application is December 1st of 2023. If you're interested in scheduling a site visit, feel free to contact me, and I'm happy to set up a site visit, meet with your organization to discuss some possible funding, as well as assist with the application process as well. One thing to note is applicants will be notified within 30 days of approval or denial. So we, again, are here to assist with the entire process of applying as well as implementing so that organizations can be most successful with using the grant funding. Again, I am happy to assist in this process and answer any questions as well.
And just a note there, yeah, on that slide, we did have a small typo. It is jjones@mnchamber.com. So
Yes,
thanks,
the .com.
Kristen, for putting that in there.
Yes, and so I'll pass it off to Hannah, who will introduce you all to our wonderful Minimize program that she is heading.
Great. Thanks, Jasmine. And even just kind of looking at some folks who are on this call, I think some of you might be familiar with this program, but I am going to start from the beginning. Again, thanks to Kristen and Melissa at the MPCA for this opportunity to share this information. Minimize is a program to recognize and support food service businesses as they take action to reduce single-use plastic. We launched in October 2022 in partnership with Hennepin County, but now through a grant from the MPCA, our program is now available statewide, which we're really excited about. We want to be able to welcome food service businesses from across the state into our program to receive both the recognition that they deserve for their efforts and technical assistance to meet their plastic reduction goals. Before I jump into what the program involves, I do always want to take a step back to address what single-use plastic is, because I have found that in my industry, we tend to use these words a lot, and I've also found that businesses might not always be familiar with them. So just to take a quick step back, when I refer to single-use plastic, in this presentation and when I speak with businesses, I'm meaning plastic that is packaging made from plastic, and that could either be a petroleum-based plastic or even those bio-based plastics, and they're designed to be thrown away after one use. We get a lot of commentary about some of the more thick plastics that people might actually choose to reuse, but we always want to keep in mind that those products are very often designed for a single use and then disposal. And we focus on single-use plastic for a few reasons. The first is that it's difficult to recycle, and this is for several reasons. A lot of food service plastic packaging is too small to actually go through our facilities in the way that we would want them to. So for example, plastic utensils, they won't go through that machinery in the way that we want to get properly sorted, as well as items that are too small for the machinery. So thinking about those portion cups for condiments, that sort of thing, those can be very challenging to actually get to the place they need to go to be recycled effectively. Another challenge with the recyclability of these plastics is in food service, this plastic is often food soiled, so folks might not, when they are done using it at home, they might not opt to rinse it out and put it in the recycling. They might just throw it away since there's already food soiled in there, or they might not clean it, and then that dirty plastic can actually degrade the value of the plastics as they go through the recycling process. Single-use plastic is also harmful for our environment. Plastic does not biodegrade. It just breaks down into smaller and smaller pieces of plastics until it gets to the point that is called microplastics. I think we've all heard about the amount of plastic in the ocean. There's plastic in the soil. There's plastic in the food we eat. Plastic is very much everywhere. It's harmful for the environment, harmful for wildlife. It's also harmful for human health. Beyond eating plastic in the food that we consume, plastic is also, it emits harmful fumes when it is burned in incinerators, so that can be challenging as well, specifically for communities that are located close to those incinerators. So as much as possible, if we can avoid use of single-use plastic, we can help to mitigate those challenges. The last thing I like to emphasize is that single-use plastic can actually be really bad for business. And this is particularly in the case where businesses are using single-use plastic for their dine-in customers, when reuse is a much better option both for the environment but also for their bottom line. When you are using single-use plastics for dine-in customers, you're paying for them twice. You're paying for them to purchase them over and over again, and then you're also paying for their disposal through your hauling costs as well. So we like to emphasize that single-use plastic can actually be bad for business as well. So to jump back into Minimize and how our program works, if businesses are interested in joining our program, they reach out to let us know. We first conduct a site visit, which is very much in line with the way that Minnesota Wastewise conducts the rest of our services for businesses. We do a site visit for a couple reasons. One, to identify what the business is already doing to reduce single-use plastic, and two, to identify additional opportunities. And that's very specific to the business. Each business that we work with has different needs and challenges, and we like to be able to tailor our recommendations individually to that business. The other prerequisite to participating is committing to our Minimize pledge. And this is a commitment to offer single-use plastic accessories like utensils and utensils, forks, spoons, knives, and straws by request only. We found that this is a really good way to measure actual participation in our program. A lot of businesses are already doing this, and it is a free way to participate. It doesn't cost anything for them to make this change. It's simply operational. So once those businesses have completed both the site visit and the Minimize pledge, they're considered a participant in our program. And depending on the efforts that they've already made to reduce single-use plastic, they will achieve awards in our program. We have 4 achievement tiers: bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and these represent the efforts that a business has already made to reduce single-use plastic. So they get progressive as they go. Bronze is that they have implemented at least one plastic reduction action. This could be that they've swapped out one plastic item with a reusable or certified compostable alternative. The silver level is no single-use plastic for dine-in. They could still be using single-use plastic for to-go, but the silver level is no single-use plastic for dine-in. Gold is no single-use plastic for dine-in or for to-go. And then platinum is reusable for dine-in, no single-use plastic for to-go, and the business offers a reusable to-go option. So we've seen this a few times actually with businesses. Businesses might be using a third-party program like a Foreverware or a Good To Go Cups, or they might be doing their own independent thing. For example, breweries that offer growlers that are refillable, that would qualify under our platinum level, as well as businesses that offer their own sort of reusable to-go program. In addition to being recognized in our program, businesses also have access to our minimized rebate to take further action to reduce single-use plastic. So this is up to $500 towards eligible expenses to reduce single-use plastic. In most cases, this will be swapping out a single-use plastic product with either a reusable item or a certified compostable item, but it could also be if the business wants to start offering bulk dispensing for condiments or for salt and pepper versus single-use packets, that sort of thing as well. In addition to receiving our minimized rebate, businesses also can benefit from our technical assistance. A lot of the work that I do is provide businesses with specific recommendations for the items that they're using. A lot of that is simply the time that it takes to do the research to find alternatives for some of these items. So I'll do the research for them. I'll help connect them to service providers such as organics recycling haulers or vendors for certified compostable items. I'll also check to make sure that if they are looking at certified compostable items, that the items that they're looking at are certified in the way that we need for our local facilities. Businesses also receive recognition on our platform. So we take the time to list them on our website, in our directory, and on our map. We also feature them on our social media, which is a really good benefit for these businesses as well. We also provide the business with a window cling that they can put in their window. It showcases the award that they have received through Minimize. Other benefits of participation are reducing their waste and potentially saving money. I'll talk about the cost savings that we've already helped businesses to achieve in a minute here. Appealing to existing and new customers. I think especially in Earth Month, it's a really great time to be sharing sustainability initiatives of businesses because that does appeal to existing customers as well as to new customers. And then other potential benefits include participation in events. We hosted an event in February. We are partnering with Yelp on an event this month for an Earth Month cleanup, and we have some businesses participating. We also will write up success stories for any businesses that do use our rebate and make a change. And then they can use that success story however they'd like to. And we're also working on getting some local media features as well. As far as participants in the program, I just want to cover two ways that participants have interacted in this program. And these are actually very specific to Hennepin County. So just as a reference point there. The first on the left, you'll see these tacos from La Doña Cerveceria. La Doña was using plastic-lined paper food trays for all of their food. And using the minimized rebate, they switched to these reusable metal trays. They imagine, or they estimate they'll be able to save 53,000 items each year, as well as achieve a cost savings of $1,590 a year simply from not having to purchase those items over and over again. We haven't even looked at calculating any savings from their trash yet, but anecdotally, the owner has said that he's already experienced less trash simply because they aren't throwing these food trays away over and over again. On the right, you'll see a reusable to-go tumbler from Pillar Forum Cafe. This is a coffee shop in Northeast Minneapolis, and they worked with us to apply for a grant through Hennepin County. Hennepin County has a waste prevention grant, and through that grant program, they were able to fund a dishwasher installation, plus receive a supply of these reusable stainless steel tumblers to create their own reuse program. And the way that their reuse program works is you spend $10 for the first beverage. That includes the tumbler and your first beverage. And then every time you bring this tumbler back or use your own tumbler from home, you receive another discount on your beverage as well. So Corey, the owner, his goal is to achieve at least a third reduction in their disposable to-go orders, but ultimately he'd like to have as many customers as possible participating in his reuse program. So those are just two examples, again, specific to Hennepin County, but they have provided a really good blueprint for how some businesses might be able to use not only the minimized funding, but also potentially funding that's available through local counties. As far as our impact so far, we have 26 participants, which is very exciting. 25 of those participants are in Hennepin County. We actually just had our first participant join us from outside of Hennepin County last week, so we're really excited about that. As far as an estimate for annual items reduced, we're at about 79,000. Hope to see that grow as we have more businesses join us and more businesses make changes. And then also a cost savings annually of $2,606. So really exciting to see those impacts from just 20-something participants, and really looking forward to growing our program as well. I will mention, just because they're coming up, that we have a couple of upcoming opportunities for Minimize in different areas across the state. I will be in Rochester tomorrow. I know it's short notice, but if anybody wants to connect regarding businesses in Rochester, my contact information is at the end of this presentation. Otherwise, we have visit opportunities coming up in the St. Cloud area on April 14th and 28th, and in the Duluth and Iron Range area on April 24th and 25th. Again, happy to connect on those opportunities, but wanted to just share them here in case there's anybody that is interested. And I'll pass it back to Jasmine just to talk about the other programs that are available across the state.
Thank you, Hannah. So similar to what we do on the waste side of things, Energy Smart is our energy efficient consultant, and they offer, again, on-site assistance for energy efficiency or to lower your energy bills. So some things that are included: utility bill analysis, low and no cost recommendations. This could be simple as programmable thermostats or smart thermostats, as well as project support. So some projects could include switching over to LED lighting, food service equipment upgrades, and even HVAC systems, as well as grant and rebate assistance. And then also Minnesota WasteWise partners with metro area counties. So currently we have partnerships with Ramsey, Washington County to help facilitate their biz recycling program, Anoka County for their Anoka biz recycling, as well as their schools program, and then Scott County for schools as well. So again, offering our full range of assistance, technical assistance, grant assistance, as well as providing success stories for businesses that they can also use to highlight their efforts to reduce their waste and be more sustainable in their county as well.
And in addition to that, we should probably also note that because we are a nonprofit affiliate of the Chamber of Commerce, any businesses that are members of the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce can also receive our services. And there's also grant opportunities through the Chamber if businesses are members. Great. Well, we will just follow up here with our contact information. Again, you can connect with me regarding Minimize across the state. I respond to either email address, so please feel free to connect at either one. I would also recommend taking a look at the minimize.org website. It does a really good job of explaining how the program works as well as the benefits.
Yes, and feel free to reach out to me if your organization or you know of organizations that are interested in this food recovery grant for any improvements in food recovery.
Great. And we just want to thank you again for your time. Thanks for joining us. If you have any questions, we can go ahead and open it up here. I am going to just stop sharing my screen. And did that work? Did that stop sharing my screen?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. I see that Jenny just shared a question regarding following up with businesses. Thank you so much for sharing this. You know, I think that the follow-up is really important. And so we do plan to connect with each business that chooses to participate with us within a year of their participation, just to make sure that they're still doing what they say they're doing. A lot of this, I think, is going to be on the honor system. I think especially as we expand into greater Minnesota, we only have so much capacity to return to businesses in certain areas. But we definitely want to make sure that they continue to do what they say they're going to do. And if they don't, it's not a huge problem. We can always adjust their tier structure. The clings are reusable, so they can send them back and we can give them a new one as well, especially if they do make additional changes to improve. Okay, Christina asked, do you have a list of BPI approved products and manufacturers? That is a great question. We do work with a number of like local vendors and suppliers that provide BPI certified products, and a lot of them are receiving more and more requests for these products. I think as some cities have ordinances pertaining specifically to BPI. So yes, we do have a few local vendors as a list. We are a vendor neutral organization. So my role is to provide the vendors to the businesses to recommend that they get multiple quotes and then choose the one that they want to go towards. So Christina, I'd be happy to share a list of the local vendors that we've been working with as well.
I had a question for you too, Hannah. I think just at the very end, you mentioned that you're a nonprofit of the Minnesota Chamber. So if a business is a Minnesota Chamber of Commerce member, they can receive your services. What about a business that is not a Minnesota Chamber of Commerce?
Yes, yes, and I see that John just asked that same question. So businesses, yes, it's a bit an interesting relationship. Businesses do not need to be Minnesota Chamber of Commerce members to participate in our programs. They don't need to be. Businesses that are members might be able to receive additional grant funding through the chamber. But if there's any food business or any food recovery organization, that meets the criteria specifically for the grant program Jasmine's working on, those businesses are welcome to participate in our programs, regardless of their Minnesota Chamber of Commerce membership.
See, Caroline has her hand raised. Go ahead.
Can I ask a question about Energy Smart?
Sure.
Okay. If a business is in only Excel or Centerpoint service area, so not both, is the consultation limited to that utility provider, or will you be able to give a consultation for both electricity and natural gas?
Hannah, do you want to go ahead? I can't for certain say.
Sure. Yeah, I will mention. So neither of us work on the Energy Smart team. Happy to ask that question specifically of those team members. I believe that if our team is out there already, they're able to provide consultation on both pieces. The issue there is if the business is only an Excel customer, then they'd only be eligible for rebates via Excel, or vice versa with Centerpoint.
Sure.
So that's kind of mostly where that, like, if they're customers of one or the other, kind of comes into play. I believe that since they're already on site, it would be likely that they would provide recommendations to both, but we can confirm and get back to you as well.
Thank you so much.
Jasmine, do you see Sabrina's question regarding food recovery?
Yes. Yes. So are universities and colleges allowed to apply for the food recovery grant as well, so long as they are in the area of concern for environmental justice? Yes, they are. I would just note that for universities and colleges wanting to apply, to ensure that there is possible partnership with a food shelf or food recovery organization if you are hoping to make donations, not just to reduce the overall amount of food waste that you do have.
See, Christina has her hand raised.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. So 2 questions, actually. One is about the food recovery. Okay, so the Hubbard County food shelf is not within the metro area, obviously. And how would that consultation or visit, what are the steps to get a visit? Since I think the director, who is swamped, probably would need maybe just a little support if I can help him to get this connection, but then also to help him through, since he's literally doing everything by himself, like most people who start up these things for, years and years until they burn out, which is horrid, but it's what happens. So that's the first question. The second has to do with a different program. So.
Yeah, so I can answer your first question. So this food recovery grant is not limited to just the metro area. So as long as that food shelf is within one of those 3 areas of environmental justice concern, then they would be eligible for funding. So it does not mean that if you are only in the metro area, you're not eligible to apply, and vice versa.
Okay, so then the other question goes back to kind of the BPI. This is another small business within the community up here that has been long established in the community, and they went and purchased a whole bunch of stuff that after they came to the transfer station where I'm positioned, found out it's not possible to put it in the organic bins. So they have gone and spent all of this and did their own quote research, is what I say. Saying that, now they're feeling really kind of tentative. Let's put it that way. We're in an underground position at the moment to go back in and go, hey. So I'm trying to think of how to again introduce your program and your organization to them, preferably without the husband there because he's really bitter. Anyway, so I'm trying to figure out how to do that. And so if I go in and using some of your slides, or at least saying, hey, they can come and visit, but they're not going to be able to go to St. Cloud. They're running their business.
Right.
Is there a way to bring you up? I mean, I could house you if you needed.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm not going to feed you what you want, but I can house you.
No. We really appreciate that. And as far as the upcoming visits, mostly that's just been areas where we were already planning to go anyway. As we've been expanding both of these programs across the whole state, determining how to do outreach is a new adventure. So since we've already had some visits planned to different areas, that's where we have these upcoming visits, and I'll put those in the chat as well. But that being said, that's not exclusive to where we plan to go for the whole rest of the year. I think both Jasmine and I are hoping to get all over Minnesota this summer, and really what that takes is having at least one interested business, or in Jasmine's case, food recovery organization that wants a visit. And then the way that we try to do it is build as many visits as possible kind of around the area so that it's worth the time for us to make the drive. So happy to come do visits with any interested business or food recovery organization across the state.
Yes.
And then we'll build in the other visits around that time as well. As far as working with organizations that might have some bitterness, I definitely have experience with that. It can be really challenging, I think, especially in the world of food service packaging, to know what is and isn't acceptable when all of these packaging have words like Bio Plus and Earth product, and it's a lot of greenwashing that can be really misleading. So the way I like to present our opportunity is we want to help businesses understand the products that are going to be accepted at their local facilities. So we'll do all that research for them, ensure that the products that they're looking at have the proper certifications, and then also make recommendations as possible to identify cost savings. I'm also never going to recommend that a business use a product that is going to not fit within their budget, and also not be accepted locally. So I know that not all businesses have access to organics recycling near them. So in that case, I might not recommend bothering with a compostable product because it might not make sense for the area or for the customers of that business. So it is a really individual assistance program as well. So we definitely want to make sure that that business knows that kind of upfront. We're always going to make a recommendation that is going to be most beneficial to your business. And the way that we do that is by coming to you. So that it's as easy as possible for you to participate if you want.
Yeah, so I am the transfer station. And so that all happened before I arrived at the transfer station. And so I listened very sadly to the story and
Oh,
the frustration. So yeah.
yeah, it's really hard. I've had that experience a lot, especially like I've had a lot of businesses that are using BPI certified products that they're paying more for, but then they don't have organics recycling on site. And they're like, it's fine. I'm throwing them in the trash. It's still fine. And I just have to very sadly tell them that unfortunately that's not going to compost in the way that you think it is. So it's a common problem. I think there's just a lot of greenwashing in the food service industry. Okay, yeah, go ahead,
Moses's
Catherine.
question. There is, let's see, his question is, can you share a link for the food recovery grant? So there is not a link for the actual, like a landing page for the grant application. However, if you'd like, you can email me and I will send out a one-pager to you. And maybe we can send it again in this recap, but there's a one-pager with some information in short that can be shared as well.
Great. I'm just looking. I saw Jenny's question about what is your relationship with the State Food Packaging Coalition with Reuse Minnesota and the National Upstream Group. I assume that that's a minimized question. Minnesota Wastewise is a coalition member for the Minnesota Reusables Coalition. We'll be sharing more information about that coalition at the upcoming RAM-SWANA conference. But if you are interested in taking a look, it is on the Reuse Minnesota website. Just search for Minnesota Reusables Coalition, Reuse Minnesota, and that should pop up as well. Or I can also put it in the chat.
Thank you, Hannah. I did see that you shared your upcoming visits in the chat as well.
Yep, and that's just April, but I think as the weather improves, we'll definitely be venturing a bit farther.
Yeah, so for those of you listening in, if you are with a community or a business or organization you're interested in having, a site visit, maybe just let Hannah or Jasmine know, depending on what you're interested in, or Melissa or I, and we can, start maybe compiling some general interest as well to make sure that you are aware of that. Another thing, as folks are maybe thinking about a couple more questions here, I wanted to paste in the chat here. I might have to do some formatting. If you are with a GreenStep city or tribal nation yourselves, you might be wondering how this relates. Well, it certainly does. We have a number of best practice actions that are in the GreenStep program that encourage working with businesses in your community to reduce waste and consumption. And so I'm going to copy those into the chat here for you, and we'll be sure to follow up with those links as well. And I do want to call out maybe specifically Action 22.5 is one of my favorites. It literally just says, I didn't mean 22.5, I mean 25.2, to basically outreach to businesses in your community and connect them to resource providers. And so that is an action. You talk to a business, you tell them that WasteWise exists and can help them, and you can make that connection, and you get to say that you took that action. So I will get those in the chat for you all.
Sorry, I beat you to it. Christina, another question? Go ahead.
Does that also apply to GreenStep schools in In other words, I have a school that I'm starting to work on getting a recycling and organics program into them. And so I don't really want to approach the city. These are smaller cities, obviously, than where you guys are. And so I don't want to approach the city until I can get that initiated and started. And then I'm thinking about going to the city and saying, hey, you know what? You already have your schools system, which is really one school for all ages from pre-K to 12. That's GreenStep started. Why don't you guys start doing GreenStep City? I'm using that approach. So is that possible to use that as a carrot to start, since that they can say, oh, usually what they say, these administrators, city administrators, they go, oh, I don't have time for this. Oh, no, we're too busy and we're underfunded and blah 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 blah. You guys have heard this also.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, thanks, Christina. So Minnesota Green Step Schools program is piloting and building out their program. There is a specific waste reduction best practice that's already written and that I'm going to link to here for you, so you can kind of see some of those ideas that you would maybe can prioritize or think about at schools, and see what credits the schools can get. So K through 12 schools, and then certainly we as programs, we kind of sister program with each other, and so there's a lot of tie back and forth between cities, schools, and then also businesses and the broader community. All right. Any other questions, thoughts? Okay. Well, like I said, I will work on getting this kind of summarized and packaged and sent back out to all of you, so you have the information that was shared today. And feel free to share it with others that you might want to connect with. And then I hope you reach out to Hannah and Jasmine, and let's get some more case studies. I can't wait to hear some more of the savings and the things that um, we start seeing some outcomes on, and we are excited to help share those stories as well. So excited to hear them.
Great. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And please do feel free to reach out. Love any ideas that you all have as far as who we ought to connect with.
Thank you again, everyone.
Great. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all.